Welcome back to another edition of Fly Tying with Jim Misiura. Today I'm going to tie a moose mane blue quill. The hook that I have in the vise, this is a standard dry fly hook. This is a number 16. And I'm going to use some Vivus. I'm using actually 16-aught thread. This is an olive gray thread. We're going to start the thread behind the eye, and we're going to come back halfway. And then we're going to return halfway from there. And that's where we're going to put our wing. For our wing on a blue quill, you can use blue done Hackle tips. That's a little hard, especially on something this small. What I'm going to use is, I have a gray poly yarn here. It's a light gray poly yarn. And I'm going to measure up the hook, measure up the wing to the length of the hook. We're going to tie that in right there. Then we're going to trim that off at an angle. And then we're going to bring our thread back. That's just about right on the wing. Going to bring our thread back to the tail. Makes it, turning it this way just makes it a little easier for me to see. And we're going to bring our thread to where it would hang at the barb. Now for the tail, I'm going to use a blue done Hackle barbels, and you stand them up to line them up, and then pull them all off at once. And the tail should be about the length of the body, and I can see that's going to be a little bit too long, so I'm going to cut it now. I didn't move it around in my fingers, but I know where I'm going to tie it in at. Take a loose loop, straight down, and secure that. I'm going to put a wrap underneath the tail. Now I'm going to take my moose mane, and the reason I'm using moose mane, this is these are pretty strong. And you can get them, you can see how thin they are there. So I'm actually going to cut that tip off. It's a little bit too thin there. I'm going to tie this in. Just tie it in right there at the tail. And then I can go ahead and wrap that remainder up to the wing. Now these are pretty strong, but if you have trouble with them breaking or anything, you could soak them in water first. Same thing you would do with like peacock quill or peacock herl, stripped peacock herl. I'm just going to go ahead and wind this forward. If you want a more segmented body, you can use two. Use a white one and a dark one. We're going to get a little bit of segments on this. Like I said, it's nice and skinny. It's pretty strong. And these blue quills are coming out at this time of year. They're one of the first flies, one of the first mayflies to hatch. Got blue quills, quill gordons, red quills. More of the drab flies in the early spring. We're going to go ahead and tie this in. I'm going to fold it back and put a couple wraps on top of it. I'm going to lift up my wing. I'm going to wrap in front of it to stand it up. And now you can either use it like that or you can divide it. I'm going to actually take my bodkin needle and see if I can get this divided in half. Usually I just grab it with my fingers. There we go. And we can kind of give this a little bit of a figure 8. Checking that there's, oh, I gotta back it off. Don't have quite enough. There we go. Even a little bit more. Now I grabbed too much. And I'm gonna go ahead and figure 8 this. That looks like it's going to be pretty good. These blue quills, you'll see them, and they're distinctly different than olives. The blue quills have longer bodies. They kind of seem to hover over the water a little bit longer once they get off the water. And we're going to bring that thread. I'm going to start it in the back here. I'm going to take my blue dun hackle and I'm going to give it the crew cut. Cut off maybe about 1.5 mils. Going to take this, I'm going to tie this in. Watch that front, because you want to have a hackle barbel or two exposed. You can see those little, they're a little bit longer, but I didn't get it quite close enough. But that's good to show you that you need a couple of hackle barbels exposed. And I'm going to move it to the front. And you want to get this to the front in order to kind of equal out the height, so you don't have a big step or where it's going to fall down. So we got pretty close diameter in the front of the wing and in the back of the wing. Go ahead, and I see I got a couple of the wing fibers there. There we go. Now that first wrap, I don't have any hackles shooting off to the back. It's only it started halfway. Give it once, twice. I'm going to hold the wing back. I'm going to rub the hackle onto the wing and wrap it once. Yeah, we'll give it 2. Something this small, you only need 2 or 3, maybe 4 at the most wraps. I'm going to hold my hackle at a nice 90 degree from the hook shank. Put a couple of wraps on top, or even a wrap on top, wrap in front. Back of the hackle a couple times, and it broke off. Now it's a little bit scraggly up front. Not to worry, I'm going to take my half hitch tool and put a couple double half hitches in there. Once, twice. I roll it as I'm going up, and then push everything away from the eye, and tighten that up. The eye is nice and clear. Put one more in there. Now I can give it a whip finish. This bobbin is a little loose, that's why I keep reaching down. But go ahead and give it a 3 or 4 turn whip finish. Pull that tight. I'm going to trim that off. Put a little bit of head cement on there. Clean your brush off real well, and you won't have to worry about it getting in the eye. And I kind of turn it a little bit. And also you should have your brush cut to a point. when you first get your whatever it is you use. I use Sally Hansen. I keep using the same brush though. I just keep changing the brush to bottle. But if you have it nice, and if you have a nice point on there, you could get a nice coating on. And here we have a moose mane blue quill. Hope you learned something from this video. Hope that you would subscribe to my channel. Please refer me to your friends. Please visit my sponsors. Leave comments, questions, suggestions. If you'd like to purchase any flies from me, go to etsy.com/shop/theflymanjim. And most of all, thank you very much for watching my videos.